Okay, everyone, we're back with part 2. We're going to start off with Blondie and work our way down. As you can probably tell, this is sort of alphabetical, but it's just the way I've got them, so that's the way I'm working through them. Anyway, Blondie, Parallel Lines, everyone knows that album. What's this one? Blue Oyster Cult, I think, yeah. Fire of Unknown Origin, another great album, really like that album. And of course, if you're going to have Blue Oyster Cult, well, you've got to have Agents of Fortune, don't you? I don't know how the light is on these covers, but hopefully they're not distracting too much. Boston, bit of stadium rock. Yeah, Don't Look Back. Another Boston album. I actually like this better than the first one. I think this is really great. First one's good too, of course. I've got quite a bit, well, up until about 1980, I've got a bit of Bowie here. Space Oddity. I actually knew somebody who was who deals in a whole lot of records, and he had a whole lot of Bowie that he just wasn't interested in Bowie, so he basically gave me 80% of what I have has come from one guy that pretty much gave them away, so I was pretty stoked to get them. This one I did get from a record store though, Man Who Sold the World. It's not the original, unfortunately. It's a 1990 press, but I'm still pretty stoked to have that. Hunky Dory. So these are all New Zealand presses, by the way, not the coveted English presses, but that's okay. Ziggy Stardust. Aladdin Sane, one of my favourites. Diamond Dogs. So this is not the one that shows the dog's nuts like the one that everyone wants, because apparently they changed the cover when it came out. Originally it was the full dog, but of course they thought no, that's too obscene, so they took it out. But the full cover's still around if you want to pay for it, but I'm happy with this one. Scary Monsters, another one of my favourites from Bowie. I mean, you know, generally speaking, the guy couldn't put a step wrong, right? I mean, just everything he did was fantastic. Young Americans, another great album. I don't know how well that's showing up, but whatever. Station to Station, I think this was released in '76, from what I understand. So, the story goes that he couldn't even remember recording this album. Like, he was so whacked out on whatever it was. I think he was going through a massive cocaine phase. And yeah, he couldn't remember anything about the recording of the album, apparently. I mean, I don't know. But that's how the story goes anyway. Heroes, so part of the Berlin trilogy. And he was spending his time in Germany. Of course, that's followed by Low. I think I got this in the right order. Or was Low first? I don't know. But anyway. And the third of the trilogy, obviously, was Lodger. This cover's all crazy. I never know which way up. Okay, what else we got? Oh, yeah, and moving into sort of more contemporary Bowie, if you like. And this one, oh, classic. I don't know how many of you will know this, but when I went through my Christian stage, I listened to a lot of Christian metal. These guys, if they were secular and not Christian, I think they would have really, really made some waves. However, that didn't happen. And this one, Budgie Squawk, I picked up for next to nothing because it literally is just the front cover. Everything else is falling apart. The actual album itself is fine. I mean, you know, considering how old it is and how beat up everything else was. But yeah, I really enjoy that album. I'd be happy to pick up another copy if I ever came across one, which I'm sure I will. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that part of my trinity was Kate Bush. So here is a few Kate Bush albums. So this one was a single from The Red Shoes, Rubber Band Girl. It's quite cool. It's a I'm not a fan of picture discs, to be honest, but you know, it's Kate, so I'll make an exception for that. It's quite cool. Don't know what's on the other side, is it? Yeah, pretty much the same, except it's got like a blue hue on it or something. Interview disc. Obviously a scene from Babushka. Right, the one that kicked it all off, if you'll excuse the pun. Kick Inside, Lionheart. Really like this album. A lot of people sort of go, oh, it's a Kick Inside Part 2, but well, yeah, maybe it is, but I still like it. Mind you, I'm biased. Never Forever, another great album. So, that's just so cool. The Dreaming, probably in my opinion her best album amongst a whole lot of very, very good albums, but this one really pushed the boat out. So that guy there is Del Palma, who was her partner at the time, and he played bass on the album. Hounds of Love, the one that everyone seems to think is her best. I mean, it's definitely up there, but like I say, for me, The Dreaming really takes that. The Sensual World. And The Red Shoes, unfortunately I don't have, because it's far too expensive for the working class person like me, but maybe one day I'll get it. The other two, Aerials and 50 Words for Snow. I haven't really listened to Aerials much. 50 Words for Snow, I've got it on CD, but I don't know. Anyway, I like her early stuff. Candlemass, bit of classic Swedish doom there. The Cars, basically to keep my wife happy. I'm not a fan of greatest hits albums. I prefer the album itself, you know. I mean, an album gets put together, it's put together and the songs are in a certain order for a reason, right? I mean, the greatest hits, I don't know. I'm a bit of a stickler for albums rather than greatest hits, right? Celtic Frost. This is the re-release of To Megatherion. It's got a lot of cool stuff. It's got like a booklet inside. There's stuff off EPs and whatnot. So the first disc is obviously the album, and the second disc, your bonus tracks and whatnot. I do actually have another Celtic Frost, but it's not in this pile. It's probably still in my rack somewhere, but we'll get to that. Cheap Trick, Dream Police. What else we got here? Takes me back to high school. Cinderella, Long Cold Winter. Classic album. I remember reading about these guys in Metal Edge magazine. Circus of Power, actually my wife's cousin got me onto these guys. I'd never really heard them. I was quite a big fan of Zodiac Mindwarp and bit of that, you know, that's kind of sleaze rock, I suppose you'd call it. Biker metal, whatever, biker rock. These guys are good. Although that's the only album I've got of his, so I don't know what the other ones are like. The Cult, Electric. I've got two versions of this. One is a gatefold and one is just a single sleeve version. This is the gatefold. Looks like we might have had a little bit of water damage or something going on there, because the album's fine but the cover's a bit wrecked. That's alright, got another version. And a Sonic Temple. Another classic album that I've certainly grown up with. Alright, so that's probably about another 10 minutes. We'll cut it here and we'll resume with what would be next, The Cure. Anyway, we'll see you then.